Shabbat Shalom. It's nice to see the weather warming up. You know, winter has always been tough. You know, I come from Zambia. There's no snow down there. All this white stuff, pretty but cold. Pretty but cold. So we're gonna. Sister Charity is not here, but Brother Mark is gonna do the work, right, Brother Mark? So while we are waiting for Brother Mark to come on, we know we're talking about the kings of what? Israel, right? Not America. Actually, there's something in the Constitution that says there are no kings. You know, we cannot have kings or titles, but there is a king of kings who we just sang about. So no matter what country you're in, no matter what your constitution, there is a king of kings. So last time we talked about King Jeroboam and the two prophets. And Yahweh sent a prophet from Judah to tell Jeroboam to stop his wickedness. The prophet did his job, but not fully. We're going to, Yah willing, recap through the kings soon here. So Yahweh told him to prophesy against Jeroboam and then just go back home. See, there was a job to do, and Yahweh told you exactly. He told him exactly what to do. But then there was an old prophet from Israel, you know, from the northern kingdom, who lied to him and said, oh, you know what? Yahweh actually said this and this. But he was lying to him. Then Yahweh said to the man, to the man from Judah, that you would die in Israel. And we talked about this. And there was a point that Sister Beth brought up that, you know, because he did not go back and he died there in the land, the people might have thought, you know what? He actually may not have been a prophet from Yahweh. Because why would he die in the land here, right? So we know that when Yahweh tells us to do something, you gotta do the whole job. You gotta do the whole thing. There was a sign that we used to have up here saying that partial obedience is disobedience. You cannot obey Yahweh halfway, right? If you're baking a cake and then you only say, you know what, I have no time. So it should be in the oven for 3 hours, but you know what, 1.5 is good enough. Do you think that cake would taste good? You eat it, you could be sick. You could even die, right? So we cannot obey Yahweh partially. Galatians 1 verse 8 says, but even if we or an angel from heaven should preach to you a gospel contrary to the one we preach to you, let him be accursed. What that man from Judah should have remembered this. See, Yahweh's word is eternal. And Yahweh himself said that if a prophet, even though what he does comes true, but he tells you to go against the word that you know, you don't believe the prophet. So Paul here is writing to the Galatians that after we have preached to you the word which you have come to know, but then we come back, right, 10 years later, and we preach to you something contrary to what you have known, when you have tasted the goodness of Yahweh, you don't believe that new word, right? So if I'm preaching to you the word of Yahweh and you have tasted the word because you have obeyed Yahweh, and then 3 years later I stand right here and preach to you a word contrary to what I preach to you, you don't believe me. You don't. You don't believe me. Deuteronomy 13, 1-3, which is what I was talking about there. If a prophet or a dreamer of dreams arises among you and gives you a sign, he does miracles, and those things come, what he tells you comes to pass, right? Because there is a test for prophets, and that if what he does comes to pass, then we believe him. But what if what he does comes to pass, but then now he sees that you're seeing, okay, these people now believe me, and then he tells you to go against the word of Yahweh? You don't believe the prophet. See, there's going to come a time when there will be a beast, a man of sin. There will be people who will believe miracles because he will do signs and wonders, but he will tell you to go against the word of Yahweh. That is the final test, that whoever is either standing before here or singing a song here, no matter where they are, if they're telling you to go against the word of Yahweh, you don't believe them. But that means you need to know the word of Yahweh, right? The FBI and some other organizations, they have to determine whether $1 is fake and one is not fake. But see, to determine that, you need to know what a real dollar looks like. Because if you don't know that, yeah, you can think that a fake dollar is the real one when it is not. So on this pulpit, we have preached several times, saints, you gotta know the word. You gotta read the word. It has to be a part of you. You should be speaking it, thinking it, dreaming it. The word should be part of you. Just like the breakfast that you ate this morning is a part of you now. And for some of you, I can see over the years, you have enjoyed your breakfast. Huh? They are part of you. Right? It should be the same with the word. Listen, man, that brother, that sister, man, she has enjoyed the word of Yahweh. There is nothing with being fat with the word of Yahweh. Nothing. In fact, I would say, be fat in the word. Right? Right? Like, don't be drunk. No, I don't want to find you on the south side being drunk, huh? With, Corona or, be drunk in the Spirit. Fat in the Word, drunk in the Spirit. Right? So, what we also see about Jeroboam is that this man of Judah had to come from Judah, right? Because Jeroboam's sin affected him. Because he had to come up from Judah. So we know that sin doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's no such thing as this sin is only affecting me. It affects people around you, even though you live by yourself. See, we all came from a family, right? Everybody here was born from a woman, from a family. So your sin affects people. Sin will affect your children, will affect your neighbors. We should avoid it. Avoid it. So Jeroboam's sin affected this man from Judah, but we will see today, because today we're going to talk about the legacy of Jeroboam. So let us go through the kings here real quick. So today's about the legacy of Jeroboam, but then let's recap through the kings real quick. And just so you know, there's so many kings, So I don't know, this, I think by the time that I'm done preaching this series, Ezra will probably be 20 years old or something like that. Right? Where's Ezra? Ezra is the little boy there, right? We'll see. Some kings didn't really, live, they ruled for like 2 years, and we don't have very many records about them. But still, Yahweh's word is rich. You can find one little verse and just expound on it, preach on it. See, the word is like a dense food, It's like that unleavened cake we eat during, unleavened bread. Because there's no leaven to make it rise, so it's really dense, You take one slice, man, you're done for the day. See, that's the word of Yahweh. We got to read, eat that word. By the way, the cake is good, Pastor Beth is giving me some looks right now. The cake is good. The cake is good. For the record, right? Here and on YouTube, the cake is good. For the record. Okay, so let's go through the kings real quick. So the first king was, illegitimate king Abimelech. And then it was good King Saul. Then bad King Saul. And then anointed King David, filled with the Holy Spirit. Then great King David. And then repentant King David. And then the legacy of King David. Then we saw there was wise King Solomon. And then King Solomon, the backslider. Then King Solomon's divided kingdom. So now we have 2 kingdoms in Israel. And then King Jeroboam and Christmas. King Jeroboam and the 2 prophets. We just got done talking about that. And now, the legacy of King Jeroboam. So, you see, legacy is what you're doing now. How will people remember you? How is your life affecting other people? And that will happen, like what you're doing now and what you will do later, affect. Trust me, you are writing your legacy right now. The way you live your life matters. How will people remember you? The truth is, whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not, the way you're living your life now is how people will remember you. See, because David was righteous, right? His legacy can be summed up in one verse. 1 Kings 15:5. It says, David did what was right in the eyes of Yahweh and did not turn aside from anything that he commanded him all the days of his life, except in the matter of Uriah the Hittite. And we know what that is, right? With Bathsheba. So we can sum this up. So what will people say about your legacy, about how you're living? You see, in the word, you will find when the kings are recorded, they say, oh, he did what was right in the eyes of Yahweh as his father David did. So David, his legacy is that every other king after that is measured against him. Were you righteous like David or not? Or the opposite, he did not walk in the way of David, his father. You see, there are some saints here that I have heard. I have heard names like Sister Eleanor, right? Or Pastor Sylvester Anthony, or Pastor Micah's mother. I've forgotten her first name. Norma, right? Brother William. See, I have never met any of these people. The only thing that I know about them is what I have heard from you who met them. So that is their legacy. Right? What I have heard is that Sister Eleanor had the gift of discernment. I heard that from you. She left you folks behind, but with that legacy. I have never met her, not once. I don't even know what she looks like. She had the gift of discernment. There was one time there was a witch that showed up here, and she was able to see the witch before the witch spoke, So Pastor Sylvester Anthony was a hard man, but loving. I've heard that before. See? That's what I've heard, And he was also very thrifty. I heard he could spend hours in the dollar store. Hours. That's what I've heard. You see? Pastor Micah's mother was a very prayerful woman who continued believing in Yahweh to her last breath. That's what I've heard. I have never met any of these people, but that's what I've heard about them. Right? Brother Willie Young, I'm not sure did he play the guitar? I'm thinking about he played the guitar, right? And I haven't heard anything negative about him. Even that is a good legacy. See, people remember it. So what will people say about you? So we're talking about Jeroboam's legacy, but I want you to put yourself here, the way you're living your life. What do people say about you where you work? What do people say about you where you live? Right? Is Yahweh glorified in what you do today? If we were going to call like 3 of your coworkers, people who work with you all the time, what would they say? Right? Or your neighbors, what will they say? Anything about Yahweh? Any light at all? Or is it, oh, she's a nice guy, or she just thought, what is your legacy? You are building it right now. All right. So we're going to talk about Jeroboam's legacy, and then we'll see that his legacy had a very great impact on the whole nation of Israel. Great impact. So we're going to go to 1 Kings and chapter 14, but we're going to start with someone righteous, Jeroboam's boy, right? So Jeroboam had a son who was sick. This is from 1 Kings chapter 14. It says, at that time, Abijah, the son of Jeroboam, fell sick. And Jeroboam said to his wife, arise and disguise yourself. So pretend to be someone that you're not, that it not be known that you are the wife of Jeroboam, and go to Shiloh. Behold, Ahijah, the prophet, is there, who said of me that I should be king over this people. Take with you 10 loaves, some cakes, and a jar of honey, and go to him. He will tell you what shall happen to the child. Oh, okay. So now that you have this problem, now let's remember that prophet, right? All this time, no, I'm going to do my thing. I'm the king. But now my son is sick. Now you remember Yahweh? Is that how we are? Are we like that? Yeah. That when things are going well, oh, nah, I don't need Yahweh. I'll do my own thing. This is my life. I'm living it my way. But when you have problems, oh, now there's Yahweh. There's Yahweh. Come on, saints. Even you guys, you don't like friends who only call you when they got a problem, right? I'm like, I just don't want to talk to you, I just want to talk to you, I won't even listen to the voicemail. I just go delete. Oh, right? And then we wonder why Yahweh isn't answering our prayers, right? He's hitting delete. Delete. That's what he's doing, I'm calling her delete. Yeah. But after the 5th call, Yahweh is so merciful, Okay, that's my child, so he reaches out, and he tells you, man, you can't just call me when you got a problem. Huh? I'm your daddy. You can't just do that. Where's the love? Where's remembering that first love? The salvation? Where's the relationship? Right? Yahweh has feelings, and he's going to hit delete. I'm telling you, there are people that call me that looks like spam. No, to me, it's spam. Right? To me, it may not be spam, but hey, you only call me when you got a problem? Yeah, that's spam to me. Delete. So Jeroboam, let's remember the prophet who told you, who made you, who said Yahweh wanted you to be king. Now, I don't know whether taking, loaves and cakes, if that was the custom back then, but it almost sounds like bribery, right? Like bribery. Oh, you know what? I haven't really been walking right with Yahweh. So you know what? Okay, let's do some good things, so Yahweh will be pleased. But Yahweh is not like, he knows your heart. Like you cannot, Yahweh wants your whole heart, right? My lovely wife there, she preached a good sermon, right? 2 years ago. That was a good sermon. And one thing she said that, you have to have faith in a chair and that you put your full weight in the chair. And so Yahweh wants your whole heart, not part of it, not some of it, only when you have a problem. Yahweh is smart. If you will ignore your friends who only call you when you got a problem, what do you think Yahweh will do? Huh? If you want your prayers answered, you got to abide. You got to abide in Yahweh. And abiding isn't only talking to Yahweh sometimes. This is why we have saints who are, sickly. You're not strong in the work because you're sometimes with Yahweh, maybe during the services here, but all throughout during the week, you're doing your own thing. I'm telling you, that is not the way to Messiah. You got to be on the straight and narrow every single day, right? And this is for me too. There's some times when I feel like, oh man, I'm not really in Yahweh, so I'm not here trying to just tell you, because this is being preached to me first and then to you, right? Because I cannot stand up here telling you to do things that I'm, do things that I'm doing. That makes me a hypocrite. I don't want to be that, right? So as I pray for you, you pray for me. You pray for me. So Jeroboam's wife, she did that. So she arose and went to Shiloh and came to the house of Ahijah. Now Ahijah, he could not see. He's an older man now, for his eyes were dim because of his age. And Yahweh said to Ahijah, behold, the wife of Jeroboam is coming to inquire of you concerning her son, for he is sick. Thus and thus shall you say to her. So when the wife showed up, she pretended to be another woman. So this is what's like secret sins. You're only fooling yourself. You cannot hide anything from Yahweh. Yahweh sees everything. He sees everything. So here is this man who is pretty much blind. But Yahweh tells her. So let's see what happens here. But when Ahijah heard the sound of her feet as she came in at the door, he said, "Oh, come in, wife of Jeroboam." Right? Even before she said anything, all he heard was, "Come in, wife of Jeroboam. Why do you pretend to be another? For I am charged with unbearable news for you." See, she didn't even say a word. She just showed up. Yahweh just told you. Right? She just showed up. It says, "Go tell Jeroboam, thus says Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, because I exalted you from among the people and made you leader over my people Israel, and tore the kingdom away from the house of David and gave it to you." And here's the thing we're talking about. "And yet you have not been like my servant David, who kept my commandments and followed me with all his heart, doing only what was right in my eyes. But you have done evil above all who were before you, and have gone and made for yourself other gods and metal images, provoking me to anger, and have cast me behind your back." Are there some things in which we have cast Yahweh behind our backs? Instead of praying first or making decisions first, first of all, you try this. And then when things get hard, now let's pray. Nah, you got that backward. The scripture says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of Elohim and his righteousness. Then all these things shall be added unto you." So are there areas in our lives where Yahweh is not first? Yahweh must be first in all that we do, saints, all that we do. So he says, "Therefore, because you have cast me behind your back and have committed all these sins." Idolatry, I tell you, idolatry, that's the one thing that just irks Yahweh. Idolatry. And idolatry, I'm telling you, it's not putting up some image. It's whatever you put before Yahweh. And I can say in America today, there are many idols. Many idols. From football. That's America's God. Football. Sex. That's America's God. We have all these gods. Money. The mighty dollar. People don't know the almighty dollar. I've heard that. America's gods. See, we think, those people building up these structures and these idols that don't talk, and we think we're so scientific and so smart. Now, we have many idols in this nation, many idols. So Yahweh says, "Therefore, behold, I will bring harm upon the house of Jeroboam, and will cut off from Jeroboam every male, both bond and free in Israel, and will burn up the house of Jeroboam as a man burns up dung until it is all gone. Anyone belonging to Jeroboam who dies in the city, the dogs shall eat, and anyone who dies in the open country, the birds of the heavens shall eat, for Yahweh has spoken it." Do you remember Sister Charity's sermon about the dogs and the birds? I was about to say, Sister Charity preached about the birds and the bees, but she didn't preach that. Dogs and the birds. That would have been bad. Her father is right here. I'm like, "Pastor Jeremy, I got to talk to you." But, the dog, I had to make sure I read it. Whew, that was close. I just had to duck that. Okay. "Arise, therefore, go to your house. When your feet enter the city, the child shall die." Think about that. "And all Israel shall mourn for him and bury him. For he only of Jeroboam shall come to the grave, because in him, in this child of Jeroboam, is found something pleasing to Yahweh." So of all the house of Jeroboam, is this boy. I don't know how old he is, but there is something pleasing to Yahweh, so he will be buried well. He will still die, right? Yahweh has sovereignty over life. Righteous people die. It's okay. It is part of being alive because of sin. So Yahweh found something pleasing in him, and then he will die a good death. Pleasing to Yahweh, the El of Israel in the house of Jeroboam. Now that's shocking news. You just show up and you just told this, she probably dropped all the food she had and just run back home. Moreover, Yahweh will raise up for himself a king over Israel who shall cut off the house of Jeroboam today. And henceforth, Yahweh will strike Israel as a reed is shaken in the water and root up Israel out of this good land that he gave to their fathers and scatter them beyond the Euphrates because they have made their Asherim provoking Yahweh to anger. And there is the main thing there. Root up Israel out of this good land. So here's this one king who Yahweh chose. And his sin will cause the nation to be uprooted from their land. Verse 16, and he will give Israel up because of the sins of Jeroboam, which he sinned and made Israel to sin. Think about that. He will give Israel up because of the sins of Jeroboam, which he sinned and made Israel to sin. And I'm telling you, folks, that we have all been affected by the sins of our parents. Now, that's just a simple, truthful, hard fact that we have been affected by the sins of our parents. But thanks be to Yahweh that when you find him, no matter what the curses in your family are, no matter what your father or your father's father or your mother's mother did, Yahweh is able to deliver you out of anything. All right? So here, I'm speaking to the fathers and the mothers who, if your kids are telling you, man, I'm like this because of you, there may be some truth to that. But if you have repented and have changed and you've told your kids to walk in the right way, there is no condemnation on you. There is no condemnation. You don't have to feel that. And if your parents did have hurt you or have caused you, Yahweh can heal. Right? Yahweh can heal, but you cannot, right? I've seen people in their 40s, you're still blaming your parents. I understand. Yes, we have all been affected. But Yahweh is able to deliver, and you cannot keep blaming people for your own sins, which you are doing today. You can't. But we have all been affected. All of us. And that's why we have to be careful how we live. You may think your sin is only affecting you. Oh, I'm just by myself. Oh, it's in the dark. And you're kidding yourself. I'm telling you. So we should all be just pray, Yahweh, give us the strength to fight whatever is in our way. Yahweh, give me a heart that will desire you above all things. And if there's anything in me, anything in my mind, if my intentions are wicked, Father, show me. If I'm doing anything today that is against you, bring it to light that I may repent. See, that's the heart we gotta have. So Jeroboam's wife, she arose and she came to Tirzah, and as she came to the threshold of the house, her child died. And all Israel buried him and mourned for him according to the word of Yahweh, which he spoke by his servant Ahijah the prophet. One thing that we didn't talk about was that, did you know that when Jeroboam, when he became king, when he started to think, oh, you know what, these people, when they go to Jerusalem for the feast, they're going to see Rehoboam there, and then they'll want to be his subjects. 2 Chronicles tells us that 11:13 to 16 says, and the priests And the Levites who were in all Israel presented themselves to him, King Jeroboam of Judah, from all places where they lived. For the Levites left their common lands and their holdings and came to Judah and Jerusalem because Jeroboam and his sons cast them out from serving as priests of Yahweh. Told the Levites, oh no, you know what? You are no longer priests. And he appointed his own priests for the high places and for the, what's, I'm just thinking this, like, what is going on with this man? He's insane. For the high places and for the gold idols and for the calves that he had made. And those who had set their hearts to seek Yahweh Elohim of Israel came after them from all the tribes of Israel to Jerusalem to sacrifice to Yahweh the El of their fathers. See, verse 16 says they had set their hearts to seek Yahweh Elohim of Israel. You know how many people we have met out there, we went to preaching, and they say, man, I used to go to church, I used to believe, but then the pastor did this, or the church did this, and then I just forgot about, I just don't. Did they set their hearts to seek Yahweh or to seek the pastor, right? Or to seek the church, right? Like, what is in your heart? When we were at the Feast of Tabernacles, there was this one lady, I think Sister D could back me up. She said she had this dream, and something happened, and people were running. And a group of people were running to Yahweh, but a group of people were running to the church. I'm telling you, saints, like, no matter what, you have to set your heart to seek Yahweh. Leaders can fall. Leaders fall. Yahweh, he never falls. He never failed. So set your heart. Of course, it is heartbreaking. It is horrible to see leaders fall. But if you're seeking Yahweh, your leader will never fall. Never fall. So we come to the death of Jeroboam. So the king died. It says, now the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, how he warred and how he reigned, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. And just when it says this, it's not referring to the Chronicles in the Bible. It's referring, because the Chronicles weren't written at that time. It's referring to, you know how you can go to the White House and see the biography of Biden, right? So people were of President Biden. People were, they write records of kings. So just so you know, because the Chronicles were written when they returned from Babylon. Just, for those who are, studious, right? Sister Jonah, huh? Studious. What does that word really mean? Right? And the time that Jeroboam reigned was 22 years, and he slept with his fathers, and Nadab his son reigned in his place. The legacy of Jeroboam can be summed up in one verse. And he, Yahweh, will give Israel up because of the sins of Jeroboam, which he sinned and made Israel to sin. See, that's the thing with leaders. And leaders are, if there are people that are looking at you, following you, and believe me, there are, and you live any kind of way, or you forsake Yahweh, there have been people here who have left and have taken others with them, or at least it looked that way. See, we have to be shored up. And we all get tempted. I get tempted. But every day I got to choose. Look, am I going to follow my flesh, do what I want? Or am I going to say, not my will, but Yahweh's will be done? It is a fight. It is a struggle. But we just thank Yahweh. We have the Holy Spirit within us who will give us strength. But I must choose now, not when I'm tempted. Or I must choose now that no matter what, I will follow Messiah. I will follow Messiah. So we have some rankings. Who likes rankings here? Number one, number two. Oh, some people do, some people don't. Okay, these are just my rankings. But so the worst kings of Israel. Worst. Any guesses?
Jeroboam.
Yes. King Solomon, Abimelech. Abimelech. Right? One, he was illegitimate. Two, he mass murdered his own brothers. Mass murdered. So yes, according to Brother Jeremy, he is the worst king, and this is of united Israel. You know, because he took the throne by force and committed mass murder. All right. Number two, any bad king? So who else? Actually, number two is not yet spoken of. So we're gonna first. Number three, Jeroboam, right? And we have there Jeroboam 1 because there's gonna come another king who will be named Jeroboam. So Jeroboam, why? Because he forsook Yahweh early and caused the majority of Israel to sin. Okay, yes, you can get number 4. Let's see. Who's number 4? Oh, not there yet. Number 5? Not there yet. All right. So, the best kings of Israel. United. David? Who? Hosea? Messiah? Okay. Hezekiah, all right. We're not there yet. David, yes, is number 2. These are, of course, but so David, right? So there is a king who, according to Brother Jeremy, is the most righteous king. Many people have heard about it because I just love the king. So, but David, because he loved Yahweh with all his heart, and has a great legacy, so great that other kings are measured against him. We know why he's number 2, right? Because of accept, because of Bathsheba. But still, David is number 2. Number 3? Solomon. Who else?
Not there yet.
Not there? Who else? Number 3? Solomon. Right? Solomon. Right? King so why? Because King Solomon in the beginning was righteous, and he built the first temple of Yahweh. Right? So he did a great thing. Yes, at the end, he changed and he walked away from Yahweh. But King Solomon, we could say, is the third best king of Israel, and his wisdom, he left a lot of wisdom. So he did many things, but he's ranked as number 3. Number 4? Saul. Really? Not there yet. Number 5? We're not there yet. But I also have a list here of the naughtiest kids in the church. Okay? So, if your name shows up here, see, I can't be telling you the same thing over and over again. And stop running in the church. Stop. If your name shows up here, we're going to talk. I'm just kidding. There's no such, there is a list, but it's in here. Right? And if you continue doing those things, it's going to be up there. And on the internet. And when you go to apply for your job, 12 years later, they'll say, wait a minute, aren't you this kid here? You see, that's why it's important when the pastor tells you that you need to pay attention. It's important. So I'll leave you with this. Deuteronomy 12 and verse 28. Be careful to obey all these words that I command you, that it may go well with who? You and your children. So the word is not only good for you, but for you and your children. After you, how long? Forever. If you do right, and your child, because you did right, does right, and his child or her child, because she did right, he does right, forever. When you do what is good and right, in whose sight? In the sight of Yahweh Elohim. Yahweh bless you.